Hello YouTube, and thank you for joining me today. I had already constructed the last video in the series of Fundie Games. It is going to be called Fundie Games 3, The Day of Reckoning. This series was constructed to explore the ideas primarily of the realities temple on Earth, what I call the reality scam on Earth. Its gatekeeper, Ibn'rad, has many things to say. Many people would simply brush him off as a madman, a man of no consequence. However, there are many ideas in which he generates that is gaining ground and that is, or has been, popular actually for some time, and he is simply giving it a polishing off and a personal spin and then projecting it into the marketplace we know of as YouTube. So these ideas do indeed deserve attention, and certain tactics that are employed, which are Machiavellian in scope, also deserve attention, in my opinion. Now, I am not on top of my game today. I feel a little bit under the weather, but I have some things that I think need to be said before you view the last video, and that may hopefully provide more girth, make things more full, provide more clarity to the preceding videos. Erich Fromm, I do believe I pronounced this name correctly, capital F-R-O-M-M, a very intelligent man, once said, quote, "The majority of well-adapted individuals have lost their own self at an early age and replaced it completely by a social self offered to them by society. They have no neurotic conflicts because they themselves have disappeared." Keep this in mind as we continue our conversation. This is something that we should think about deeply. With this said, let's make one thing clear. I am not casting stones at this man called Ibn'rad. There's enough people in this world doing that to each other. I do not wish to participate in such. I rather examine ideas. I personally have more than enough self-issues to contend with and a huge challenge to remain sane in a highly insane world. We have responsibility to realize ourselves. We do not have a responsibility to tell one about themselves. I do not think the way to conquer the infringement of the pseudo-self is to create self from culture. Culture contributes to who we are, but unless we give permission, it is not an untamed beast. One may claim they are beyond skin color and taxonomic representation. If this is true, then why do we find so many who make these claims? To make statements that people who are in opposition to their ideas are assaulting them. Better yet, that they are assaulting the group in which they belong to, that they are a traitor. Basically, what they are admitting to is that they are not wanting to be truthful, that they indeed see you as simply throwing a monkey wrench into the program, and that you are assaulting them on a level where you are attacking the ideas of their group identity politics. I offer that exploration of history may be informative, but that what we have within ourselves supersedes it. Though I do think the power of history is in its ability to provide clarity. Many people who are bound by not the realities of the color of their skin within a certain country or area, but bound by their internal conflicts that orbits around their color or skin, may be of the opinion that history has all of the answers. Well, let me share another quote with you as we continue. This quote is taken from a work called On Liberty, I do believe that it was produced in 1859. Quote, "If all mankind minus one were of one opinion, mankind would be no more justified in silencing that one person than he, if he had the power, would be justified in silencing mankind." End quote. With that said, I think it is very important that we allow people to share what is within them, that we are not afraid, that we do not attack them and try to murder them by silencing them. I do think that we do ourselves a great injustice when we do not have the ability to explore ideas that may one day surface or grow into something that may present itself as a bigger challenge than what it would have been had we simply had the opportunity to acknowledge it much earlier on. That said, I am not opposed to all of his ideas. We have the ability to be surprised. We would indeed be surprised who we do agree with, not in totality, of course, but we would be surprised if given the opportunity to examine their values and ideas. I am in opposition to this man's duplicity, tactics, abundant fallacies, half-baked ideas, inconsistencies, etc. I also suppose that I should state, because it is important, that I am also opposed to what appears to be a presentation of his willingness to justify violence, not necessarily via reasonable force or because it is necessary, but because he deems it to be appropriate in regards to dealing with those that he would deem to be traitors. It is my deduction that Angelsnupnup7 is like many ideologues. He, though he will not admit it, or is too close to himself to see it, is an aspiring social engineer, who is convinced he knows, though he feigns he can be wrong, that he knows what is better suited for Black people as individuals to run their life. The suggestion that there are good people in many groups functions like a curse accompanied by the necessity of excommunication by many who subscribe to racial-centric realities. This is so because it undermines generalizations and all-or-nothing thinking. It forces examination of the group, any subset within that group, and the function of the individuals within it to be closely examined. This is not to say we should surrender to the ignorance of others, for there are certain challenges that those within these racially centric groups take upon themselves who claim to be concerned with obtaining freedom and liberty. With that said, let's say this. We definitely should not surrender to the ignorance of others. There are many ugly realities within America that we would be unwise if we decided to turn our face away from. We need to square ourselves with it and look at it head on, understand it for what it really is. One thing that is very evident in America today is there is a growing number who think America cannot be America unless its historic Anglo-European majority remains the majority. Those with this mindset have sought to recover its former identity as a people, which it had up to the 1960s. So, we need those who have the courage to speak on these realities. But we do not need white derelicts in blackface. Unfortunately, as more of the majority becomes openly hostile towards blacks or other non-white groups, I do feel a change may be necessary. And it pains me to say that. That change would be unique, however, for the American descendants of slaves. That would be that black people, speaking of this particular group, would be better suited or served by schools and businesses exclusively for black people. The problem that I have is not having black businesses or black schools. It's the exclusively. It pains me to think that any quote-unquote racial group, which is truly just a part of the human family, would need an exclusive setup. But it may be better served for blacks at this time, given the political climate and the social climate within America. The jury is still out on that one. Of course, this is only assuming two things. If society proves this is necessary, and I've hinted to this, and if blacks constructed the means to provide a superior educational and business experience for those within its group. Though I do stress blacks should not be willing to have a dependent mindset. This helps no one within our group. We must place ourselves in a position to both serve the group and the individual, no matter what. There must be a balance there. It is funny that those who push for racial separatism rarely, if ever, discuss the type of government that would be necessary to make their yearnings for self-determination a success. Black liberation, or those who seek liberty for black people, whether they are affiliated with black liberation, black consciousness, whatever, has not provided these people that subscribe to this or who are a part of these movements, have not provided proof that the movement does not encourage man to lose itself within it. Like many racially constructed interest groups, it appears to have a parasitic hunger. The problem is, many who are attracted to these groups or ideologies appear to be nothing more than the victims of democracy gone crazy, where democracy has rapidly declined to a series of adversarial groups who seek to have the government favor them at the necessary expense of another. For unless they, meaning those who prescribe to these particular ideologies, are indulged to construct something that is outside of the country, or if they are musing over their romanticizing of Africa, the group or groups or individuals who carry these ideologies would have to find ways to thrive in America. They, or those of this mindset, may proclaim freedom and liberty is the agenda, that love truly of oneself is what is at stake. But it appears to be nothing more than the urge to submerge oneself in something they deem to be more powerful than themselves. Thank you for listening.